what's going on. Just gonna do a quick recap of Remastered at the moment. Go through the settings, because the settings, I think it's quite important to set them up properly, at least to mimic kind of the Rome 2 experience, or the Rome 1 experience, sorry, and a bit of the Rome 2, and I had experience in both, so I think that's pretty helpful. So, let's go first into the graphic settings. Maybe I didn't really touch anything on this. Yeah, actually, this is fucking whatever. Do whatever you need to do to make it work. That's not really a big problem. Audio settings, again, yeah, that's kind of up to you. I just, whatever. We'll do controls last, because that's kind of hard. Okay, gameplay settings. Yeah, restrict camera, obviously. Remastered camera, I would suggest using this, because at the moment, at least, from what I know, there's no way to move the camera speed above 100, which is quite slow. So, the remastered camera is a lot more like the Rome 2 debug cam, where you can zoom out quite a bit further, see a lot more of the battlefield, and since you can't change the field of view or the camera speed to very high, like we could in Rome 1 originally, you want to be able to zoom out to see the battlefield efficiently. That's pretty important. This tooltips is very useful, because it's like what shows you the status. It's exactly the same status bar as was in Rome 1, where you can see the, how tired a unit is, morale stuff, all that kind of thing. So that's very useful. This pan camera mouse cursor is very important, because it allows you to like push the top and the left and the right and the bottom of the screen and move the camera around. So if you do that, it's useful to have. Projectile trails is kind of whatever, and tooltips, whatever. I deselect this tactical map transition, because what that does is if you scroll out too much, it'll scroll all the way out to like the tab map in Rome 2, for example, the one that just shows the units as little squares, and you don't want to do that. You could have a bind for it, like tab, for example, which obviously wouldn't use in Rome Total War, but that's what it is in Rome 2. That's fine, but not this scroll thing, because then if you accidentally scroll too far, it'll like fuck you up. So yeah, those are the main things for the gameplay settings. And now I guess, yeah, the only thing left is the control settings. So I'm not sure what I could reset them to default. Yeah, okay, I can always load by their keys. So, this is the default settings. You pretty much have to put it on modern Total War. So if you use, no, that's not true. If you use WASD to move your camera, which I'm pretty sure most people do, you have to put it in modern Total War. Because if you look, if I want to let's see what, move forward, move backward. Okay, if I want to make this W, you cannot bind W, and we'll get into the problems there in a sec. So you pretty much can't do this unless you want to use the arrow keys to move the camera, which is bad. So that's a big problem. So you go to Modern Total War, you get the WASD for the camera, Shift to increase the camera movement speed, which is nice. Then the other thing to change is change Select Next to Tab, if you're used to that from Rome 1. So you can select the next unit. You can also do something for this. Not sure what you would use exactly. This is all good, and we're in the miscellaneous here. FYI, yeah, Y for chat is pretty common. That's like what it is in Rome 2. None of this other stuff really matters, I don't think. Battle menu, strategy menu for campaign. Don't give a fuck really. This is all good. This is exactly what I use in Rome 2. Q to rotate the camera left and right, left, E for right, V and C for tilting up and down, which is actually pretty important in the debug cam. So be used to that, because that's, if you tilt it up, you'll see further in front of you, but it'll be more flat to the ground, like parallel to the ground. And if you tilt it down, you'll have more of like a top-down view. So you kind of want to have balance, but you want to be able to change it. I guess depending on what you're looking at. Z and X to raise the camera, but you can just use the scroll wheel for that, so no real point for that. Not sure if this page up, page down thing for the camera speed actually works beyond the 100 camera limit. If it does, that'd be very cool, because at least you could use that in like deployment phase to just like fucking speed your camera up. Tactical view, yeah, again, this is if you want to show the squares, but I don't think that matters. Toggle camera speed. don't really think anyone needs that, because again, you can't toggle it beyond 100, so don't know why you decrease it. This ping thing is pretty interesting. It's in room 2, for example. So that's kind of, instead of pressing attack at the position shown from the chat, you would just use this. There's 3 of them, ZX and Z, different types of pings, I suppose. Speed control, I would just do triple. There's also this toggle T, which works. But I would, you know, control T for triple. Pause is already there. I guess normal speed, you would just use this, but you could also use like control N or something for normal speed, whatever. Now, you're going to want to move this from space to all the way down here, show unit destination space. That is pretty common for all Total War games. Should definitely be this. Let's see, where were we? We're up a bit. This open, close, quick menu thing will show it in a battle, but it's not as useful. View unit information, I've never used that. Well, I guess I'll check out what that is. Halt, backspace is good. And now here's the annoying thing. You cannot change the binds for guard, unit for loose formation, fire at will, or skirmish. Really fucking stupid. You cannot rebind them. So you have to fucking deal with alt plus all this shit, so that's stupid. Group as G is fine. Now toggle unit special ability, very important, because phalanx will be like, I bound that to F, I think. That'll be like the first unit ability, but things are a bit different. You know, in Rome Total War 1, obviously, every unit has only one ability, but in this, it's like fucking weird, and we'll see it, but like units can have multiple special abilities, but those aren't new abilities, it's just like, skirmish mode will be an ability, or fire at will be an ability. Super weird. Doesn't make any sense. And again, withdrawal, you can't change it, but I guess that's fine. The rest of this is all like pretty not commonly used, I don't think. So we'll skip that. About face, that's a pretty useful one if you want to just like turn your unit around instantly. I have it on J, that's just like a room 2 bind as well. All this shit, just select specific unit types, whatever. So again, yeah, space is the main thing there. So that's pretty much the only settings that have changed. I'll just not change them. So now if we go into a game, let's look at a few quick things. Okay, so we're here in the game. So yeah, F, you can see, this is, okay, so here, let's look at the abilities first. So yeah, if my only ability here is Phalanx, then yes, F will work for Phalanx, but look at this, the General has a Rally as the first ability. So now if I want to do Phalanx on all of these units, plus the General, I have to use the second special ability slot. So I have that bound to Alt plus F, I think. Actually, Control plus F. So that's one thing. I just dropped a pencil. That's one thing that you have to look out for, because I mean it's going to be very hard to do, right? Because you're in the middle of battle, you select all your fucking pike units, or let's say your general's in a cavalry unit, you select all your cav, and all of a sudden wedge is the second ability, maybe it's the third ability. Like, I don't fucking know. So that's weird and not good. So you have to be careful about that. Otherwise you'll just be fucking rallying your units all the time. So every general has a rally now, not only the generals that didn't already have an ability like in Rome 1. So that's interesting. But now let's look at like a fucking Peltis unit, right? Peltis, the first ability is Skirmish, and the second one's Fire at Will. So that's really weird. But an archer unit, so yeah, that's because this unit didn't have any abilities, right? Peltis didn't have any abilities in Rome 1. And see, Loose is never an ability. Loose is always its own type of thing. Now over here, on an archer unit, for example, Fire Arrows is this first special ability. Now, Skirmish is the second special ability, and Fire at Will is the third special ability, which I don't actually have a bind for. So that's one thing to be careful about. The special abilities will change, and they're like also Loose and Skirmish. But we can't bind Skirmish to Z, for example, which is where I had it, or Loose to X, or Fire at Will to C. You have to, I mean, right at the moment, hopefully they change this, you can't bind those at all. You just have to use the special ability thing, or just click it down here, which is not terribly difficult, but still not great. And like for Cav, we can see they only have wedge, so that's pretty easy. Now the other thing is, this thing, which is originally what space is bound to. This will determine what is always showing, what is only showing when this quick menu is out, which again, you can bind it to space, but I decided basically not to, because the idea for me is, and we'll start the battle here, I might just lose. Let's go into slow motion. Look at that new thing, slow motion. So, alright, let's give some orders here. So you can see, by default, I'm not pressing space right now. You can see the movement orders, the fire arcs, the banners, and that's it. If I press space, I can see where the units are going. So even if I give an attack order, that will always be showing. And that's pretty useful, right? Because you want to see that stuff. You don't want to press space. That way, for example, for charges, you can see exactly what unit you're targeting all the time, rather than having to press space or control or whatever. But, let's say I open this thing. Now everything shows. I can hide it. Then it doesn't show on this, but it will show if I have a space pressed. Because it's unlocked, I think, is why. The banners are locked, so lock means always display. And you can see here on the banners here, only display this item when the spacebar is held or the menu is open. So that's not good, right? If I unlock this and I close this, you won't see the banners, which is like terrible. So we don't want that. So we lock it, so we always see it, and when I close this, you can see we always see it. I decided not to put the unit status thing locked. I just think it looks like not pressing space right now. Right? I don't like seeing this thing, it's a bit annoying. You can select the units from there, but it's still kind of hard to see. I'm just gonna retreat right now because I don't want to lose the battle or win the battle too fast. So yeah, you can choose whatever combination you want, but I had it unlocked so that I see pretty much the normal Rome stuff, but not everything. The movement path, if you unlock, now this is like what Rome was, right? And if I press space, then I can see some of it. Yeah. But then you can't see the movement. Oh yeah, see, now you can see the movement pass. No, only when you select the unit. So, not good. I think you want to see the movement pass all the time. So I'll lock it. Maybe space... No, space only can show the unit direction. Yeah, so the other thing you could do... I'll pause real quick. The other thing you could do is you could set space to be bound to opening this thing. As you can see, when I close it, things go away. When I open it... I guess you have to be playing. When I open it... Oh, it's not bound to space, right? When I open it, everything shows up. So I could hide unit status by clicking on this. And that way, when I hit space, this would show up. Let's unlock this. So... Now, when if I hit space and it opened this, you can see the movement path. So that's another thing you can do, but I prefer to just have this thing be like a hidden thing, and then have space show the movement orders. That's just like the classic way it works. But yeah, that's pretty customizable. It's pretty nice. Up here at the top of the screen, there's like the army count and stuff. That's cool. The chat is over here. Usually when you're in multiplayer, it's like right below this. The advisors up here, you can turn them off, of course. And that's pretty much the customization at the moment. So I think the main things that we're missing are the abilities being weird, and skirmish loose and fire will not being bindable. You can't change the bind. Like, why would that be a thing? No idea. There's this help sheet, and that's what I'm guessing is the reason why. Because this help sheet, you can see it has Alt 1 for rally, Alt 2 for melee, Alt 3 for guard, tight loose, all that. So that, I believe, is why we can't change them, because they want this help sheet to be always correct, but that is stupid. Like, we should be able to bind it, and these should just change. Like, that's not that hard to program. But okay. So, movement-wise, there's no alt move. So, if I... Let's see if I get, like, I need to get a formation here. If you try to alt move, say I try alt move over there, it will just put it into a line. You also obviously can't click and drag. Oh wait, maybe. Hold on, am I stupid? Maybe I'm discovering things live on air. Is it Attila? No. Yeah, if we try to alt move. Wait, what did I just do? No, yeah, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, alt move is pretty much broken, or it just doesn't work. Just gonna try to run away here. I don't want to fight them because there's going to lose. So yeah, alt move does not work as far as I can tell. Yeah, and rotating. Again, if you rotate units, it will rotate and move to the point that your mouse is at, which is very nice. But since it doesn't maintain formation, it's kind of useless, right? That's a big problem. So, yeah, in terms of alt move, the best thing I can think of, if I want to maintain these 4 units in formation, I'll group them and then lock the group with Control G or clicking this, and now they'll move around normally in the group. See there, I hit F for phalanx, and I just fucking rallied. But then I hit the phalanx button. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it in terms of like in the battle stuff that you can fix / change. Again, a lot of room for improvement. All not in, I think. So let's exit this. Hopefully, though, those settings make sense. I think that's pretty much the overall settings, just to be able to play somewhat properly. And again, it's not totally perfect, but yeah. Those settings should at least make it similar. If you have Rome 2 experience, definitely it'll be more familiar. But with Rome to the War, I think it's a bit, at least somewhat familiar. Anyway, yep, that's it for now. We'll hopefully have some more stuff coming soon. Peace.